Hello everyone and welcome to Chapter 6 Briefing. Chapter 6 is a follow-on from Chapter 5, which was all about trying to minimize Gap 1, the listening gap. In Chapter 5, the focus was on research, active listening, observing customers, asking customers questions, soliciting feedback or criticism, using survey instruments, doing sophisticated analysis of customer data. In Chapter 6, we're looking at an altogether different way of doing that, and that's improving your ability to listen through the establishing of customer relationships. There's a big value in customer relationships, and if you have them, chances are your ability to listen will be enhanced and your profitability will be enhanced for the long term. So relationship marketing is also a philosophy. It's a way of doing business. It doesn't necessarily emphasize acquiring new customers. What it emphasizes is building bridges with your existing customers, so you can increase your depth of purchasing activity. So if you can mine more business out of your existing customers, that saves you a lot of time and money and effort. It's cheaper for the firm. So retaining customers is a big deal. This is all linked to the bucket theory of marketing. You've got new customers that come in, and then you've got increased purchases by some customers. But then you lose customers, okay? And then you also have decreased purchases by some customers when things go wrong. So you're attempting to fill up that bucket, but relationships with customers help you to stop up those holes in that leaky bucket. What are some of the goals of relationship marketing? You need to acquire customers, satisfy them, hold on to them, and then enhance the relationship. It's win-win. Makes things much more smooth when carrying out the business, plus they tend to buy more. So 6.1, this table gives us a typology of exchange relationships. You could view customers as a product offering, strangers, acquaintances, friends, or partners. Now, for example, notice that when they're strangers, they're attractive competitors. Acquaintances, they're on par with industry standards. Friends, differentiated with adaptations to segments. Partners, customize individual offerings. So notice that if you move from just customers all the way to partners, you get increasing commitment, you get custom offerings. You've got a lot of detailed knowledge and interconnections. You can potentially sustain your competitive advantage. You can further enhance your relationship. It's a win-win. Benefits for customers. They get better value. For example, I'm a big fan of diesel engines and Volkswagens. And I've bought several over the years for myself or for my kids. And when I do need to buy one, I go to the same person at VW, because I know I'm going to get good service and I know I'm going to get a reasonable deal. So to me, I get better value, I get confidence, I know I'm not going to be cheated. But for the firms, when they do this, they know that they'll have people like me who keep coming back. It's good economic benefits. Notice that over time, customers generate a lot of profits. Here's credit card, industrial laundry, industrial distribution, auto servicing. As time goes on and you keep that customer, it becomes more and more profitable. And relationships are essential to make that happen. Here's an exercise you could do. Think of a service provider to whom you are loyal. What would you do that indicates you are loyal? Why are you loyal to this provider? What factors have influenced the formation of your loyalty? If you put yourself in your customer's shoes, maybe it will help you as a firm that's offering services to do things that can enhance such loyalty. Here's another view of the lifetime value of the customer, not only the profits that are developed over time, but if you look at the lifetime value, look at what it does to the bottom line. Year 0, there's a net loss. Why? Well, there's cost involved in obtaining that customer. But once you've got the customer, as time goes on and they continue to spend with you, it becomes more and more profitable. So if you lose your customer after the first year, you have a net loss, not a net gain. Here's an example of the customer pyramid. Least profitable customers to most profitable customers. Lead, iron, gold, and platinum. Like iron customers utilize capacity, they don't merit special treatment. Gold, not as profitable, they want discounts or less loyal. So what segment spends more with us over time, costs a lot less to maintain, spreads positive word of mouth? What segments cost us in time, money, and effort, yet doesn't provide the return? Which is most difficult to do business with? When you think in terms of the customer pyramid, it does suggest maybe there are customers that you don't want, that don't produce a return, and then maybe there's some that you should favor and go after. Lead, these are customers that are costing the firm money. They demand more attention than they are due, giving their spending and profitability, and sometimes problem customers. I heard this morning on the news that some lady on a flight got angry about the person in front of her trying to lean back in the seat, and so the flight had to stop in Jacksonville versus Miami. So I'm guessing that that was a pretty expensive incident. Anytime a plane needs to cut short a trip and then restart it, I imagine it causes all sorts of problems. And that customer would definitely be in the lead tier. That airline probably doesn't want to do business with that customer anymore. Okay, so what you really want is as many platinum tier customers as you can. Typically heavy users of the product, not overly price sensitive, willing to invest in and try new offerings, committed customers of the firm. Okay, so maybe you want a mix of platinum, gold, and some iron, and you want to eliminate lead. Here's a model that's presented in our text for developing relationships. What are relationship drivers? Switching barriers. For example, I've used Comcast high-speed internet for years, and I'll probably stick with it until I could find another alternative. Right now, there's a big barrier to switching for me. Also, I use Gmail, and because of that, I use Android phones. So I've got a lot of inertia. I'm used to using Gmail. I like the preferential compatibility with the Android phone. So that's a barrier to switching. So it makes me loyal to phones that utilize the Android operating systems, and I'm a loyal user of Gmail. You also need some core service satisfaction. There's a relationship bond that comes to this. So the more difficult it is to switch, the better the service itself, and the better the relationship, the stronger the loyalty. And then the better the loyalty, the better benefit for the customer, as well as the better benefit for the firm, ideally. So what do you do to build those relationships? Make sure your service is excellent. And then also make it difficult to switch. This is why, Apple has iTunes, Android has Google Play, Amazon has Kindle, and now the Fire Phone. They're marrying products with services to develop some inertia. Once you get familiar with using their ecosystem, chances are you're not going to want to leave. Relationship bonds, financial, social, customization. There's levels of relationships that are given in the text. You may want to read more about this, but you may start off as financial, but then ultimately lead to structural bonds where it'd be very difficult to terminate the relationship. Now remember, the customer is not always right. Now, we've all grown up with the saying, the customer is king, the customer is always right. Well, customers that you want to keep may always be right, but maybe there's some customers you don't want to keep. Maybe you have a customer from the wrong segment. They're not profitable customers, they're difficult customers. They have an expectation that your service deliverable is not going to provide. So those customers, which would be the lead part of the pyramid, maybe you don't want to keep. Those particular customers would not always be right. Okay, so maybe firms should consider firing some customers. Remember that saying that strategy is more about what you decide not to do than what you decide to do. So if you are all things to all people, you really have no strategy. So maybe maybe a firm would do well to pare down customers to those that are most profitable and really take care of those and weed out segments that are ultimately unprofitable. But finally, the message of chapter 6 is really about establishing those relationships, because if you do, you will lower your cost of acquiring new customers, plus the revenue from that customer over the lifetime is going to be very large. And if you lose a customer after the first year after you've gotten them, you have a net loss. If you have a customer that uses your service over a long time, you have a net gain. Plus, there's benefits to you as well as the customer. You can understand that customer better, and as you do that, there's more benefit to the customer and also to you, because your business is streamlined and you're delivering the right services. So that's it for Module 4. We've discussed Chapter 5 and 6, so I'll see you in the discussion threads this week.